Welcome back to Sweet Red Poppy. On today's episode, we are going to be making some hand-stamped jewelry tags. These are so fun, and you can personalize all of your gifts this holiday season. I've teamed up with Impress Art, and I'm going to be sharing some really fun tips and tricks with you so that you can get beautiful hand-stamped jewelry this holiday season. Let's go ahead and get started on our tutorial.
For this tutorial, you'll need a steel block, an ergo angle stamping hammer, Impress Art letter stamps, gift tags, Impress Art stamp guides, a pen, a stamp enamel marker, and stamp tape.
When you're stamping, there are a few different tips that can make this experience so much easier. So I want to share those with you first so that you have a really great experience with hand stamping. First off, I really love to use this stamp guide. This is from Impress Art, and it's a little booklet that's filled with stickers. And it has stickers of all different shapes, and it just depends on what type of jewelry you're making. You can find the right sticker to go with it, with your project. So this is the one I'm going to be using today. And what's special about this is it has all of these little lines that help you to align all of your stamps in place so that you get really nice impressions that are evenly spaced out and that are on the same plane, which is really nice. When we're hand stamping, we want it to look a little bit whimsical and fun, but you also want it to look somewhat professional. So this really helps me to get great impressions, and I know exactly where I'm supposed to be stamping. There's no room for error, which is nice. One of the other things that I really like using is this stamping tape. Now what this does is it adheres your stamp to your stamping block. That way your tag or whatever it is you're stamping isn't moving around or shifting while you're trying to stamp, which can be really frustrating because then you have stamps all over the place, and I've made that mistake before. So this is really helpful too. Another tip is when you're using your stamps, you want to align them with your stamping tape. So when I'm going through this tutorial, I'll tell you to place your stamp on top of your gift tag and then pull backwards until you feel the resistance. What that means is that the very bottom of your stamp is actually hitting against the stamp tape. And that tells you that it's lined up and it's going to be perfectly aligned with the other letters. So I'm going to be starting out with a few different tags. And what you want to do to begin is just remove this blue liner. This just keeps your stamping plates from getting scratched. So you're going to go ahead and remove that to prepare. And then you can place your tag on top of your stamping block in front of you. And I'm going to use these Impress Art guides to help me get perfect stamping. Now, I've tried stamping a few times in the past and I was a little bit discouraged because my letters were kind of wonky and it wasn't lined up and it just didn't look exactly how I wanted it to. It kind of looked like a kid had made it. So when I teamed up with Impress Art, I told them about all of my concerns. I wanted to know, how can I get professional looking hand stamped jewelry? One of their suggestions was to use their stamp guides. I'm going to take a pen and just draw in between these little lines. So on my gift tag, I want it to say, "To Mom from Kim." So I just want to write in between. I'm going to be using a mixture of uppercase and lowercase letters. And when you're using uppercase and lowercase letters, you can use the blanks in between the lines. If you're using just all uppercase, go ahead and use the lines. You'll just write your letter right below the line. So I'm going to remove this and just want to align this with my tag. You want to take a minute just to make sure it's lined up exactly where you want it before you place it. And then I like to take a little bit of stamp tape and I'm just going to rip a little bit off that's bigger than my gift tag. And what I do is I just align it on my block. This keeps your gift tag from moving around or shifting while you're stamping, so you don't have to worry about accidentally missing your mark. Just going to secure that to my stamping block. I'm going to go ahead and open up my stamps and pull out the letters that I need for this project. I like to just pull out all of my letters and lay them out in a row in front of me when I'm doing this. That way I can kind of get into the flow of things and just keep hammering as I'm going and not have to stop each time. So I have two different sets. I have my uppercase and I have my lowercase letters that I'm going to be pulling from. One of the things that's important to note when you're working with Impress Art stamps is that you need to make sure that the stamp is facing towards you when you're stamping. That way your impression will be in the correct direction. So I've pulled out all of my stamps and I have them aligned in front of me, and now I'm going to start stamping. Now there's a few tips and tricks when you actually start stamping that you want to really carefully adhere to. And this will help you to get really pretty impressions. First off, you want to hold your stamp at the bottom of the shank. I like to use 3 fingers on the back, and then I have my pinky just kind of rests on the stamping block, and the rest of my hand is resting on the table. Now what you're going to do is put your stamp on top of your gift tag and then slide it back until you feel resistance. And the resistance that you feel is actually your stamp hitting against the tape. And once it hits against the tape, you want to stop because that means it's in position. So I'm just going to pull it back until I feel that resistance. I'm going to make sure that my stamp is level. Then I'm going to take my hammer and just give it one hit from on top. If you happen to miss it or it only has a partial impression, what you can do is just realign your stamp with the impression and hit it again. I'm going to move on to my next letter. So I'm using a lowercase on this one. I'm going to place it on my tag and then pull it until I feel some resistance. I'm going to make sure that it's aligned and it's straight up and down. And then I'll hit it on top. And then you're just going to continue this process, pulling it until you feel that resistance. A solid hit from on top. And one more letter. Okay, so I have 2 mom is completed. So now I'm going to peel this away and use a new sticker tab for the bottom, which will say from Kim. So I'm just going to use this paper pad again and write out exactly what I want it to say. And what I love about this is that there's almost no room for error because you put your letters exactly where you want them and then you line your stamps up with them. So everything is perfectly spaced out like you can see right here. I'm going to align this. So this one is a little bit bigger. So I just kind of want to eyeball it and center it. And what I like to do is press down this tape. So I kind of get an indentation of the bottom just to make sure that it's straight. Okay, so that is secure, and I'm going to pull out the stamps that I need for this one. I need a capital F, and I have my lower cases as well. Okay, so I've pulled out all of my stamps and I'm ready to do my second line. So I'm just going to place this, make sure that my hand is steady and that it's resting partially on the table and partially on my stamping block. Then I'm going to firmly hit it from the top. And then I always like to check to make sure that my indentation was really clear and precise. And if it wasn't, you can always go over it again. Now I'm going to switch to my next letter, pull until I feel that resistance, and then hit from on top. And one of my recommendations when you're first doing this is just have a couple of blanks that you know you can just practice on, because it takes a few minutes until you start to kind of get into the groove of stamping. But once you get it, you'll know when you've gotten it, and then everything just turns out so wonderfully. And at this point, if you want to add some extra characters to it, you can. So I have a few little hearts that I want to add underneath. So I'm making sure that the stamp impression is facing towards me and that the Impress Art logo is facing towards me. And I'm just going to add a little heart. I might do another one. These are just so fun. I love how whimsical these little stamps are. Now that all of my stamping is complete, I'm going to use my enamel marker to fill in all of my indentations. And what this does is it just gives you a little bit of added definition to all of your stamps. So what you want to do is just shake your marker a little bit, open it up and draw over your indentations. Make sure that you're filling each indentation in with some of the ink. I've gone over everything. I'm going to take a paper towel and just lightly dab some of the excess ink. I'm not removing all of the ink. I'm just dabbing some of the excess. And then you can let it dry for a minute or two. And then I'm going to go over it again with a paper towel to remove the rest of the ink. You just want to lightly buff from the top, not pressing down too hard, because that way you'll keep all of that enamel inside of your impressions. And if it isn't dark enough the first time, I've noticed that if you let it dry completely, you can go over it a second time with a little bit more of your enamel marker and it looks great. So now I'm going to remove my sticker and I have this cute little tag. So what you want to do now is you can just attach it onto a gift. I have this little hand stamped bracelet right here that I put into a box. I'm going to close my box up and use a little ribbon to attach this. So start from the top of your gift and then wrap your ribbon all the way around, tying it on the back side, then bringing up your extra ribbon at the top, and you're just going to snip the top and tie a little knot right here. And at this point, you can slide your gift tag on. And tie a little bow. And now you have a personalized hand stamped gift. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial. I loved sharing this hand stamped gift tag with you, and I can't wait to see what you guys make with it. I have even more hand stamping tutorials that are coming soon, and I'm so excited to share them with you. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you find out the next time one of my crafty videos goes live. And go ahead and comment below letting me know what you're planning on making with this tutorial. I've linked all of the supplies below in the description if you want to purchase any of the supplies and make this yourself. I'll see you next week.